Alright YouTube, what is up? You got your boy Crew Chips here, bringing you another commentary. Yes sir, this is exactly what you think it is. This is me talking about the Super Bowl and the outcome of it. If you do follow sports, you already do know that the Baltimore Ravens have beaten the San Francisco 49ers 34-31, only by 3 points. But a win is a win. Can I get a what? So, props to the Baltimore Ravens. Woohoo, they won. You know, they're excited, especially Mr. Ray Lewis. Especially him, because retiring, gets his second ring. Woohoo for Ray. But anyway, gonna go ahead and jump right into why I was right in my prediction and exactly what kind of happened in the Super Bowl, or at least in my opinion. Alright, gonna go ahead and start out with some of the stats that went on in this game. Obviously, score 34-31 Baltimore. Let's see, the total yards for Baltimore was 380 compared to 484 of San Francisco. So, obviously, San Francisco outplayed them on the offensive side of the ball when it comes to yardage, but obviously, it doesn't really matter, as you can tell by the outcome of the game. Passing yards were very close, 287 to 302, San Francisco. And then rushing yards, San Francisco absolutely demolished, 182 to 93. Penalties, San Francisco had 3 more, but they only had 13 more yards, so didn't really matter much. But when time of possession came, Baltimore had the ball for about 5 minutes longer. So, kind of everything right there. Oh, and San Francisco had 2 turnovers compared to the 1 from Baltimore. So, very crucial things right there. The main 2 things I see are the turnovers and the time of possession, where Baltimore both won both of those. So, those, in my opinion, those are almost like the 2 biggest things, because if you're just looking at just the stats, the bare stats, without scores, you're looking at first downs, yards, passing, and rushing, and you would probably guess that San Francisco won, because normally, at least in my opinion, if you're in a football game and you can run and pass the ball as well as San Francisco did this past Super Bowl, then you have no reason not to win the game. I mean, they had 182 rushing yards and 302 through the air. That's a great game all around for all their players. Now, in my opinion, where they really got hurt was the turnovers. You remember, I think it was LaMichael James that fumbled it. It was one of the, who was it? I don't remember when it was, but basically he was running out. The play was looking terrible, but he got back to the line of scrimmage, and right before he went down, he got tackled and he dropped the ball. I'm pretty sure that was LaMichael James, and it was all the way in Baltimore territory, so they were already really close to scoring once Baltimore got the ball, of course. And it just made for, I think they only got a field goal out of it, but points are points. They did only win by 3, so take away that fumble. Who knows what happens in that game? Maybe San Francisco goes down and scores. Maybe, another turnover occurs. But basically, turnover's a huge thing. And then Colin Kaepernick threw an interception to Ed Reed at one point. It was a terrible throw. In my opinion, it just slipped out of his hands. But anyway, going to go ahead and jump into the passing performances. Do you guys like this? I can only assume that you guys do, because I don't get a lot of comments. I just get, my usual views, some likes, occasional dislike. If you guys don't like me talking about football, you guys gotta let me know, because I can talk about football all day long, homies. I mean, come on, I'm talking about the Super Bowl for like 10 minutes, maybe. I don't know, we'll see how it goes. It depends how much I talk about it. Anyway, Joe Flacco, 22 for 33, 287 yards and 3 TDs, no interception. Amazing game. Can't ask for anything better. He only had 10 incompletions, no interceptions, and 3 touchdowns. It's a great game through the air. Colin Kaepernick, 16 for 28, 302 yards, touchdown, and an interception. Now, right there, I see an interception. Interception's terrible. Almost one of the worst things you can do in a football game. If you ask me, turnovers just kill a team. They can destroy a team. They can make you, from doing great to doing terrible, in a split second like that. And not to mention, he had less attempts and less completions, and he still had more yards. So that obviously means he had more yards per attempt. And that's always good, trying to throw the ball down the field a bit more. Comes to rushing the ball, Baltimore had a terrible game on the ground. They did so bad. Ray Rice is a phenomenal running back. I stated that in my previous commentary, predicting the Super Bowl. And he had 20 rushes for 59 yards. He averaged 3 yards a rush. That is flat out terrible if you don't know anything about football. And Bernard Pierce, he ran the ball substantially bad, but, he got the ball more than I was expecting. He went 12 for 33 and only averaged 2.8 yards a rush. So, again, terrible on the ground. But then if you look at San Francisco, Frank Gore had 19 carries for 110 yards, and he had a touchdown. And then Colin Kaepernick had 7 rushes for 62 yards. So, as you can tell, San Francisco absolutely dominated the ground game, but it doesn't really matter because Baltimore's defense obviously held them through the air enough to be able to take, what's the word for it, be able to take all the pressure they got put on, you know, from the ground game of San Francisco. I don't think it came out right, but you guys get what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, okay. Anyway, the receivers, Anquan Bolden, spectacular game. As I thought, you know, he's a great receiver. He really came out this postseason, and even though in my opinion he's been like a great receiver, he really showed it this postseason. And then in the Super Bowl he performed, you know, so well. And then you got Jacoby Jones with that one reception the whole game, but he scored on it. He like rolled over and then he got up and he ran into the end zone. It was pretty cool. And then Torrey Smith didn't do much. Dennis Pitta got on the end zone once. It was like a 2-yard pass, but not much from him. Michael Crabtree had a great game. You know, 5 receptions, 109 yards, got in the end zone. And then Vernon Davis, as usual, did great. 6 receptions, 104 yards. Didn't score, but still doing really good right there for those 2 receivers. But a thing that I noticed when I'm looking at this is the Ravens had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different receivers catch the ball compared to the 4 of the San Francisco 49ers. So, I mean, in my opinion, just looking straight off of that, you know, NFL, analyzing things a lot more, when you notice, you know, patterns, ball going to more one player and another, like 4 separate players, compared to a guy that's spreading the ball around like Joe Flacco was, it seems like it'd be easier to guard being the Ravens. I mean, I know I don't play football, but I'm just taking that's just my opinion on it. You know, that's pretty much the stats for it. I mean, you could look at the kick returns for, I know Jacoby Jones returned one, I think actually at the very beginning of the second half, he returned one for like 108 yards, like an NFL record. It was a great return. Obviously, that changed the outcome of the game. That was a free touchdown. Who knows what would have happened that drive if he wouldn't have returned it. But that was a coverage of the stats of how they did. And I honestly think I pretty much called this Super Bowl perfectly. I'm not trying to be cocky, but I straight up called that shit forwards, backwards, and sideways. I said Colin Kaepernick wasn't going to be able to perform under the pressure. He did good, but he didn't do as good as he normally does. He's not a huge interception thrower. He threw one today. I mean, he did fine on the ground, but you normally see him running a lot more than he did. Only rushing 7 times for Colin Kaepernick just doesn't seem usual. And then not to mention how bad, like, their defense did. I mean, I thought this was going to be a more defensive game. Okay, I was wrong there. I was wrong on the defensive side just because, you know, 2 great defenses, I figured be a great defensive game, but it really wasn't. It was a very, very offensive game for both teams, and I was really kind of, it was weird to me. Because, like I said, 2 great defenses, you would think they would have a lot more stops on the defensive side than they did. But, you know, what are you going to do? But, anyway, what was I going to say? Fuck, man, titties. Would you guys, no, you guys won't respond, so I'm not going to ask it. That was pretty much the Super Bowl. A lot of people say that the lights going out was a huge turning point in the game, and I know it was, and I knew it was while I was watching it. You can ask my friends as soon as the lights went out. And it took like 37 minutes or something like that. I think it was 37, 42 minutes. I said that the Ravens just lost all of their momentum. And it's because they did. You can look at the game and the stats afterwards. The Ravens did terrible after they got the lights back on. And I know you may be like, oh, what does it matter if the lights went out? They didn't like make their game any worse. But momentum has a lot to do in a game. You'd be so surprised if you don't know much about sports and you don't keep up with it like I do. You know that momentum is a huge thing when it comes to winning a football game. Especially when you're scoring, getting turnovers, and you're doing it consecutively, and then all of a sudden, it's like the whole game starting back over, you know? It just gave the 49ers like a reason to turn up their game to a whole new level that they've been playing, and that's exactly what they did. I think they like tied it at one point, or they almost did. If they would have made the 2-point conversion, I think they would have tied it. But it was a crazy game after those lights came back on, and it really did, in my opinion, changed the whole outlook of the 49ers. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know why they didn't continue to play like they were. But it's like I said, they just must have lost all their momentum. I mean, settled down more than they should have. They should have stayed pumped up. But 49ers took advantage of it. I'm proud of them. They did what they should have done, and they really fought for it hard. They made for a great game. I'm not going to lie. That was a great Super Bowl. And I'm glad I wasn't a blowout. I mean, at first I thought, wow, you know, shitty Super Bowl was a blowout. But no, they came back. They made it interesting. Now, I would have loved to have seen, you know, them tie it up with the 2-point conversion and then having to see the Ravens go back down and win it. But I'm perfectly fine with the Ravens winning. I was right. Let me get that. Whoop, whoop. Proof Chips calling the Super Bowl 2013. And what did I say in the last video? That the Panthers were going to win the Super Bowl in 2014. So, if I was right this year, that means I can only be right next year. I mean, that's just simple mathematics right there. I mean, science, cosmetology, right? I can't be wrong with that. So, once I get it right, you can return to this video and the previous video that I put out and be like, whoa, crew chips caught that shit. That's crazy ball stacks nuts. That's just absolutely amazing. And I'll be like, yeah, it's what I do. You know, make predictions, get paid for it. You know, YOLO, right? I don't really get paid for it, but I'm gonna get paid for it once I get this one right. So anyway, this video is coming to an end. It's wrapping up in about 30 seconds or so. But I really do hope you guys enjoyed it, and I really hope you guys enjoy me talking about football, because I love football more than anything else. And I hope this was informational or intriguing to you guys, or you guys enjoyed it. I don't really know. I just hope you guys really liked it, because I enjoyed doing it. But until later, you got Crew Chips from the Taco Crew signing out. I'm out. Peace out.